Hello, friends. It's Monday, October 2nd, 2024. Chapo is back. It's me, Felix, and Chris joining you today, but do not be afraid. Joining us, filling in the third mic spot, is the lovely Kath Krueger.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Catherine, of course, came out here with me, member of the Chapo family. I'm really glad you're with us here. Catherine has spent just about as much time as anyone this week taking care of Matt in the hospital. So we're all very thankful to you and for filling in for today.
The pleasure's all mine.
So first and foremost on today's show, I think the question on everyone's mind is, how is Matt doing? Catherine and I flew out here Thursday morning and have been here ever since then, and like all of us have been doing shifts with him at the hospital. And what I can tell you to start off the show is that although Matt is still in the hospital, we are very pleased to report that he is out of the ICU. And like obviously I'm incapable of speculating on his recovery or offering any medical judgment, surprising as that may be. I can tell you just from my own perspective in the times I've spent with him over this past week, he has improved every time I've seen him, and probably the most reassuring thing I can say that, like, in terms of lifting my spirits to pass along to you, is that Matt very much is himself and has his sense of humor. We were just in the hospital with him yesterday, and he was absolutely cracking us all up. And finally, and also I will share like a bit of truly the unalloyed good news to come out of this week, is that Matt's daughter was born last Sunday. Oh, sorry. Matt's daughter was born last Sunday.
Losing track of the days.
Yes. It's been a long week. Matt's daughter was born last Sunday. Matt has met his daughter and it lifted his spirits immensely. And I'm just so happy to report that both mother and child are doing great. This has been immensely difficult. It's been a really tough week, obviously, for all of us, but it's also been a very beautiful week in terms of just like the love and support everyone has experienced and demonstrated, and also to welcome Matt's beautiful daughter among us now. So
Chapo baby.
Yeah, the Chapo baby is here. And just as another aside, I would like to acknowledge the truly amazing outpouring of love and support from Matt from all quarters. It really helped just to know like just how much love is out there for Mr. Christman. And also, I should say, as good as all of the love and support was, I truly have to say nothing has done more to lift my spirits and Matt's than the haters and the losers. You guys have done a truly wonderful work this week. And I got to say, I would like to clarify some comments I made on the last episode in which I instructed people to, like, be kind and not weird about this. I just want to make clear, I was speaking to our listeners and subscribers, and you've done wonderfully. To the haters and losers, please carry on as you were. You're doing great work. Please don't let up. It's been a balm to all of our weary souls to see you hating and losing.
And any riff you think, any dunk you think you've gotten off on Matt, I guarantee he has already dunked on himself in the exact same way, and in a way that's way funnier than you could ever. So keep trying. Haters equal waiters at the table of success.
If you are attacking him because like you think that Matt Christman is a Jewish name, this is it. Honestly, this has been going on for a long time. People have decided, like 7 years ago, people decided I wasn't Jewish and Matt was.
You did a bad fusion dance and changed backgrounds.
What is a fission dance?
Fission dance.
Okay, like if you hate Matt for that reason, he created a whole new white person with all access DNA. So think about that. You hate Matt because he's racist. Well, he nearly took a white person out of this world.
I keep barking.
So like really, there's like nothing you can really attack him for. I mean, I look, there's no logic in any of this, but I'm just trying to bring like civility to all of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I gotta say, it's been fascinating to me over this last week, of which, like, honestly, and taking a week off from the show, the one benefit to us is that there are literally too many stories to talk about. Like, but the one thing I will say, in light of the entire Canadian government Zig Heiling and a Waffen SS veteran.
Because he's Ukrainian.
Is the fact that like to witness the haters and losers, I think we are truly seeing the real red-brown alliance in American culture between Nazi pedophiles and I guess liberals who are still mad about the 2016 election, but mostly the Ukraine heads.
Liberal hawks,
It's the Ukraine war supporters that were really coming hard for Matt. And I gotta say,
stay mad.
Stay mad. Good luck.
If you
enjoy
just
the hunks of the Waffen SS calendar we're sending you.
Honestly, like a lot of things have happened this past week. We got writer's strike ending, United Auto Workers going on strike. We've got Diane Feinstein dying. We have Diane Feinstein dead.
Died on Matt's birthday, by the way. So
I still don't think she should resign.
Yes.
Honestly. We've got Bob Menendez being
a gold bricker.
Doing corruption of the kind that we have not seen in ages, truly killing it out there. So much stuff to talk about, but I got to say, all of those have been pushed out of my head by the intrusive thought, courtesy of Felix Biederman and your AI sort of DALL-E prompts. Every other news event and Matt's recovery has been pushed out of my head as I imagine Drake in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, so I thought this is... I'm a lot like visionaries like Hideo Kojima or... James Cameron, because when I initially came up with this idea, the technology wasn't quite there. I was thinking of Drake in the episode of Band of Brothers, Why We Fight. And I was thinking of him liberating the concentration camp. And he's going around and like witnessing the horror. But because he's Drake, he's like, we need to get these people to the six. These people need jackasses. And like I tried it on Dolly like, a year ago, and it just like it fucked up Drake's face. It drew honestly a very offensive picture of Drake. But Microsoft sucks. Windows 10 sucks. The Xbox Series Y, X, Type Y, fucking whatever that people bought 3 copies of. Terrible console that bricked. But the Bing AI tool did an amazing job with this prompt. You can't say Drake liberating DocOut, like they'll content block that. But if you like use sort of like filtered terms, like the rapper Drake liberating World War II black and white realistic prison camp dramatic photo, it will depict exactly the scene that I depicted.
and like that prompt produced an image that I would describe as like Drake pole vaulting over the electric fence at a concentration camp.
And that is how he would do it.
Yeah.
Like that, if he was in Easy Company, and like he saw the concentration camp in like the corner of his eye, he would do like a backflip into it. So he would be like I've always wondered, like, if Drake was in Band of Brothers, who's he? Because someone has to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's too many characters, and it's like, well, I don't really think he can replace Nixon or Winters, but like Spears is a good character. Spears is a good character, but he's not like
he's not a main character,
right? Yeah. He doesn't talk a lot, but like Drake could do that role.
Okay, Felix. When you started posting this was like a total accident. Like I had not told you about this, but like basically, like I said, got here on Thursday, spent Thursday night at the hospital. And then like for most of this week when I wasn't at the hospital, I just decided to rewatch Band of Brothers.
Everyone's rewatching it.
Yeah, everyone's rewatching it. And still a great TV show. I mean, it felt appropriate this week, but when you came up with the Drake and Band of Brothers and Drake as Spears, I was trying to come up with like Drake in Band of Brothers, and the only thing I could think about was just like the blood thinky on the team, but he's with Easy Company, or Drake as Spears, and he lets Nazi POWs wear his ovo chain once before shooting them into a ditch. And they're like, "Yas, danke, danke." They put on the ovo chain, and then Malarkey just hears as he runs away.
So Spears gave them all cigarettes before like getting the. Drake would give them 1/64 of his Xanax each.
Dankeschön, Americano.
That would kill them.
And he's just like, nah, I'm Canadian.
It really is a great show. It really is, even without Drake being in it.
somehow, yeah. Or him making Sobel salute him at the end. You salute the rank, not the man.
Yeah,
you salute the rank, not the six.
Well, it would be like he comes back. When he leaves from training, he doesn't have a Louis belt, but when he comes back, he has one, and Sobel doesn't notice it. But then Drake points to it, like indicating that he's caught a body during the war. And then it's like you salute the belt.
Yeah. Well, like I said, speaking of World War II, I mean, this segues into, I think the best news story of last week was, which was Nazigate. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, like, it surprises even me, and it shouldn't, but the number of people that I've seen with Ukrainian flag and rainbow flag avatars in their display name essentially make the argument that, like, can you really call a volunteer to the Waffen SS a Nazi? Really? Are you sure about that? Really? And I don't know. I just think we're experiencing now an entirely liberal-run project of people who all say Donald Trump and the Proud Boys are the Third Reich to essentially rewrite the entire, a project of massive historical revisionism to, if not claim that the Soviet Union and the Nazis were equivalent evils in World War II, to basically say that the Nazis on the Eastern Front were a necessary evil. And I figure, I'm sorry, once you've done that, the game is up. You are just a Nazi. And by way of that, I was worried that this would be that this story would be out of date by the time we got on mic, but it's not. Courtesy of Politico, who has an opinion piece out today that is truly one of the most incredible things I've ever read in a mainstream publication. Headline: Fighting against the USR didn't necessarily make you a Nazi. And yeah,
I'm nodding my head.
Yeah, just a little bit of this. It says, everyone knows that a lie can make it halfway around the world before the truth has even got its boots on. By the way, this is by Keir Giles, is the author and commentator. His most recent book, Russia's War on Everything, looks at the effects that Russia's malign influence around the world has on ordinary people.
There's so many of the, we no longer send the discontinued T-shirts of the Super Bowl loser to third world countries. We send all these books that are Putin's Red Army and Putin, the Stalin that was born again. All these Kremlinology, modern Kremlinology books to third world countries. That the new UN resolution that they passed for Haiti is probably sending 300 million of this guy's books over there.
It's great for sales.
He writes here, essentially here, the thesis is, it's complicated. History is complicated. It's a lot more nuanced than he volunteered for the Waffen SS but as he writes here, in the case of Hunka, the mass outrage stems from his enlistment with one of the foreign legions of the Waffen SS, fighting Soviet forces on Germany's Eastern Front. And it's a demonstration of how when history is complicated, it can be a gift to propagandists to exploit the appeal of simplicity. This history is complicated because fighting against the USSR at the time didn't necessarily make you a Nazi. Stop. Yes, it did. That was World War II. That's who were fighting the Soviet Union in World War II.
There were two sides.
It's you could make that argument and be technically correct in most other time periods, actually. There were rightist elements against the USSR in Europe, all throughout the Cold War, but you can, successfully make the argument, well, they weren't literally members of the Nazi party. They weren't part of the Wehrmacht. But this is beyond even being in the Wehrmacht. This is someone pointed out that this is leapfrogging past the clean Wehrmacht thing. This is the clean SS myth, which is insane.
This coming up on probably the most stunning sentence I think I've read, again, from a liberal mainstream publication or a centrist, whatever you want to call it. This one froze me. He writes here, however, the idea that foreign volunteers and conscripts are being allocated to the Waffen SS rather than the Wehrmacht on administrative rather than ideological grounds is a hard sell for audiences conditioned to believe the SS's primary task was genocide. I suppose I've just been conditioned to believe
you've been sold a bill of goods. The SS, not that bad.
What was their primary duty? Morale?
They were
fundraising.
Well, they had sick fits, so
they were putting down partisan groups in Poland and the Eastern. So yeah.
I like the distinction between administrative and ideological. Being like, no, I just admire the SS's efficiency.
Yeah,
I just like trains.
I was a secretary for the Nazi Party.
Yeah,
parts of the SS in Eastern Europe that were administratively placed in the SS were so like those were the groups that were so efficient that not like Central Command had to tell them to like slow down on killing so many Jews.
Yeah, hey, could you chill out a little?
They were that enthusiastic. They were too enthusiastic for the Germans.
They really administratively took up the cause.
The Germans were like bad AI in a shitty co-op game. Like, no, you're not leaving any targets for me.
and I guess the next sentence is, in simple narratives like everybody in the SS was guilty of war crimes are more pervasive because they're simpler to grasp. Look, even if, like, once again, you could make an incredibly pedantic argument that, like, well, actually, not every Waffen SS member did a war crime. It's like, I don't give a shit. Kill all of them anyway. It's like, there are certain things that are so bad. It's like, you put on the uniform, you're accountable. I don't give a shit. And this fucking 94-year-old mummy that, I mean, like we were joking earlier, like, does this guy have Alzheimer's and just think the Nazis won the war? Because I mean, at this point, you could make an argument that they did.
Well,
Canada is fucking feting this guy.
You said he had a blog.
Oh yeah, a Canadian friend of the show said, like, and obviously, I feel like all the Nazis that America saved after World War II, at least we got like the space program out of that. Canada seemed just like they were just like, here's a house, and welcome to our government.
Well, like we took a lot of the German Nazis. And Canada got the guys who joined while the tour was already on the road. Like they got. It's so weird how like Ukrainian Bandera loyalists like picked Canada. I don't know how that happened, but they love it there. It's their favorite fucking place in the world. There are more like statues of Bandera in Canada than anywhere else in the world. It's insane.
No, but yeah. Our Canadian friend passed along to me this week that Hunka, the Waffen SS guy had a blog. I mean, that's nice.
That's pretty impressive for a man of his
for an
age.
old guy.
Yeah, really.
In one of the blog posts, he described the years of 1941 to 1943 as, quote, the best of his life.
Probably the only person on the planet who feels that way.
Who else was it who was alive in Europe during those years? Couldn't say
the Eastern Front of World War II.
This wasn't the funnest time they've ever had.
This guy, so far, the entire defense that this article lays out is like, it's just a shittier version of like Eichmann's defense. Like, well, like he didn't literally kill all of them. Like he didn't literally push people into the gas chamber with his own hands.
Well, he's not technically a war criminal.
Well, actually, like in this article, the thing that this guy hangs his hat on is like, actually, his unit of the Waffen SS was investigated, and it turns out they didn't do any war crimes. It's like, oh, well, in that case, standing up for him.
The intellectual exercise here is digging into the archives to absolve any part of the SS. Like at that point, this is how deranged the Ukraine war has like made liberals that they're in such a rush to like, back Ukraine and diss Russia that, they're fucking absolving sectors of the SS.
Yeah.
Like also most Ukrainians fought against Germany.
Yeah.
Like that's the most insulting thing.
Yeah, like the fucking Nazis killed so many Ukrainians. Yeah. They killed more fucking Eastern. Forget Jewish people. They killed more Eastern Europeans than like the Black Plague did.
Knowing about history is over if you want it.
No, I mean like we're experiencing like the and also keep in mind this comes on the heels of Modi's government straight up clipping Sikh Canadian citizens in Canada, and the Canadian government being like, sorry, thank you. I mean, like, so we're really, and the rise of the new access, we really are seeing that now. And I remember last week I saw that Mehdi Hassan guy, like smugly quote tweeting something to be like, I think we can all agree that we can support the war in Ukraine without just giving a standing O to a Nazi. And I'm like, can you? Can you? I mean, it seems like you can't. Like,
the available data seems to suggest you can't.
And like, I don't know, like, and then they were like, well, why did they have to give him a standing? It's like, well, it does seem interesting that like the most sort of diehard partisans of promoting the continuation of this war, like, oh, gee, why do they have to recast the entire history of World War II to make the Nazis the good guys? It's like, why is that so important to them?
Well, this is a propaganda project because, like, did you see Justin Trudeau's kind of like half apology? He was basically like, oh yeah, I didn't really have the notes in front of me to know not to applaud this guy. But then he swerves into talking about Russian disinformation, like, and we also must stand against Russian disinformation and Russian propaganda. Like that's a part of this, or like, you know, basically recasting this as disinformatia.
The defense that they brought up that there were like 700 people in that room.
Yeah.
And every single one of them was like, oh, wow, I guess I like literally didn't like nobody in here like Googled this guy's name.
Yeah, they're all so mad at their age. Being like,
nobody give me any background.
this wasn't in the notes.
Well, every conservative's line has been like, I'm disgusted that I applauded for this guy. We have to fire like the parliamentarian for this. Even like if someone tells you like this guy fought against Russia in World War II, like that's a pretty easy problem to solve. Like, who do you fight for? You know,
the Conservative Party is on the chair of Canada is on the chair of some organization that's like Institute for the Study and Rectifying of Russian History in World War II.
I mean, I'm sorry this didn't happen when we were in Canada, but Canada, holy shit. What a fucking L that you're in time. What a fucking joke of a country.
Boys.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, so the Modi thing, like, it's already like awful that like they hit this guy in Canada just for like speech. But it's like no one's even mad at the idea of like India doing India stuff in Canada. Like if I was Canadian, I would be like, can't you do India stuff in India? Like it's I would be embarrassed. It's like if somebody came to your house and like started homeschooling your kids. You'd be fucking insulted. Like, fuck off.
Obviously, it's extremely upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake and has apologized. But this is something that is deeply embarrassing to the Parliament of Canada and, by extension, to all Canadians.
Moving on from the massive L's Canada has taken, let's turn our gaze to our own country and something like. And I got to talk about two of the best stories from last week, starting with Bob Menendez, Mercedes Bob, fucking just Goldbar Bob. We were talking about this last week, and like when this story broke, I was reminded that it was like 6 years ago. He was faced almost identical charges to this and was saved by a hung jury. That's what got him off of this. And it's like, you think after that happened, I mean, like, this is how cool it is to be a senator. Most normal people, you think you come that close to like federal corruption charges, you're like, I gotta get out of the game. And Menendez, he's like, nope. I want you to call the Egyptians. Tell them that we back up.
Price of a gold brick going up.
Yeah, like someone who like got a hung jury on armed robbery would take longer to get back to that. For the longest time, I was under the impression that Menendez was like such a slick operator. I was like, wow, like this guy is, you know, he's obviously like a tool of the Israel lobby, and he almost like cockblocked the Iran deal, and he probably got some like huge payoff out of that, and like he's gotten away with this for so long. He's probably got people on the inside in the DOJ. He's never going away, and he's probably working through like 15 proxies, and he can have plausible deniability. And no, it turns out that he is doing it all himself in the style of like a weed dealer who barely breaks even.
A weed dealer who sells weed just so he can get high for free. Like he's talking about like some of the shit that he was sending to Egypt were like state secrets apparently. And then like what was the emails between him and the Egyptian guy where it was like military, you up, got military secrets, and then it was like thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing, is that like everything Menendez says is like there's no legal defense for it. Like he's literally saying, hey, I am about to break U.S. law and act as a foreign agent and illegally sell you these arms. and act as a conduit and receive a third-party payoff that constitutes as a bribe. It's nothing that can be sullied by interpretation or anything like that. And the Egyptians always respond by just like, thumbs upping the text or like liking it. He is going out of his way, and they're like, all right.
I just really, really like his explanation, which is that he has to collect, keep gold bars at home. First of all, where do you even get gold bars? Basically because of inherited generational trauma.
Epigenetic trauma from his experience in Cuba. But then people pointed out that his family left Cuba before the Cuban Revolution. So he's talking like Batista was taking gold bars from his family.
I think it's ableist actually to criticize Bob Menendez.
Yeah, no, he has epigenetic trauma.
Yeah.
And that's why he has to have hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash sealed in the floorboards of his house.
Oh, but if you are expropriating wealth from somebody, don't you want it to be in gold bars? That seems way easier to me.
Yeah.
If I am,
I don't know what I do with a gold bar. What do I do with
your floor? Put it on your floor. Otherwise, you have to put it in a bank account.
How do you think fucking pirates spent it? you go to a gold guy. It's fine. It's I'd rather do that than try to figure out his password. Okay, you kill him and then cut off his thumb and use it on his MacBook.
It's also way more secure than having it in crypto and then losing the USB or something. And also, he's too old to understand crypto.
Gold bar Bob. I guess there have been a lot of calls for his resignation, but honestly, once again, stick with it. I say don't resign if you're Bob Menendez.
Who started,
Fetterman was the first one to say he should resign.
Well, they were all screaming about his gym shorts.
Oh God, yeah.
Let my man let it hang.
Gotta let your nuts hang. And then moving on from Menendez, we gotta say, R.I.P. Diane. R.I.P. I didn't see this one coming. This was a gut punch. It's been a long week.
She had so many good years left. So many good years in leadership.
She was a kid.
Only the good die young.
I also like that Feinstein voted. She was working up until the end. She voted a couple hours before she died.
It's insane that she was 1 billion years old and had probably been senile or worse for I don't know, at least 5 years. She should have just been sitting in a mansion enjoying her golden years such that they were in San Francisco. But no, she died in Washington D.C. She died in the swamp.
Yeah. She could have been at one of her many multi-million-dollar properties, but no, she was in in suburban Maryland.
Her senior aides are basically the same people who were around Bruce Willis when he was making all those movies. Just she had an earpiece in.
Yeah. The last thing she did before she died was probably meet with a lobbying group that's we represent food truck purveyors. we're against some regulation that prevents us from spewing fry oil on public schools.
The soul is leaving her body as somebody's if you could just roll back some of these oil regulations a little bit.
These regulations are smothering our small businesses.
We smother our fries.
And of course, obviously this week has, raised questions about is it okay to make fun of someone if they die or get very sick? and
I think we're coming down pretty strongly on that one.
I think it's pretty clear where I stand on this issue. But my favorite reaction was just how dare you? Her staffers are grieving right now.
Yeah, I bet they are. They're not going to get another job in the Senate for someone who is cogent.
Someone said, imagine saying this about grieving staffers. And grieving staffers is just one of those phrases that burrows into your mind. A grieving staffer is the worst type of staffer to aggravate.
It's way worse than a thieving staffer.
But yeah,
I'm just imagining a whole office with wearing blacked out lanyards for the week to show
they're all wearing veils.
Yes.
Yeah.
But her staffers, I'm sorry, they were the ones who killed her. They were the ones that were making her still be a senator. Chris, Molly,
I would say old age killed her.
Well,
her own body killed her.
Well, I don't know. She could have. Like I said, she had a lot of good years left in her, and I blame these staffers, who Chris, we were watching Lord of the Rings the other night. All those staffers, they Grima worm tongued her.
Yes, they were.
And
all,
she was just she had the veil, and someone could like, a Gandalf type figure could have like, pulled the veil back.
Nancy Pelosi.
And like, Nancy Pelosi could have like cast out Saruman, and then Diane would have gotten out of that wheelchair, taken off her glasses, shaken out her hair, and she'll look like Margot Robbie.
I've only ever served you, my lord. Your leechcraft would have had me crawling on all fours like a beast.
She'll be back.
Well, to be fair, she never ever looked like Margot Robbie. She basically always just looked like Dianne Feinstein. It's Feinstein, right? I always say Feinstein, but I think it's Feinstein.
Feinstein?
Yeah.
It rhymes.
I'm just trying to respect the dead.
Just R.I.P., and, please try to be respectful.
My favorite thing from her career is that she like almost blew the capture of Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of other like more like sort of, bigger bad things she did with more like global implications. But just as like a thing that an incompetent mayor would do, like the liberal mayor in a Death Wish movie.
Yeah. Or like a Dirty Harry movie.
Yeah. So Richard Menendez,
Richard Menendez?
Wait, what was
Ramirez.
Oh.
You're mixing up the Menendez brothers.
Right.
Or Bob Menendez.
Richard Ramirez had like, he wore like a certain type of like weird shoe.
That was actually like, there was like one pair sold in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, or San Francisco.
Oh yeah,
But, like,
sorry.
He had a really unique shoe print, and like the police had this information and they were using it to track him. And Feinstein like went to the press when she was mayor and was like, yeah, actually, his shoe's so unique that the police are using it to track him. And so of course he instantly got like normal shoes.
Every
and like
time,
thankfully they got him, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah, they were like really close to capturing him, and she blew it up. I always love, like, whenever I visit LA, I read the entire Night Stalker Wikipedia page.
There's some good stuff in there. I like one of the women who got really into him.
One of his like prison lovers.
Yeah, so she was gonna get married to him, and then when it turned out like through DNA testing, he like, of course he like killed like a 9-year-old. She's like, okay, wedding's off. It's like he killed like 12 people.
And he also killed like a whole bunch of elderly women, like killed and raped. It's like, oh, but the 9-year-old, that's a bridge too far. Well, I guess it is, but the whole thing is a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Good thing she snapped back to her senses.
Moving on from the Democrats, I guess another non-event that happened last week was yet another Republican presidential debate, which is like the news that come out of that is the Christie saying, we're going to call you Donald Duck to Donald Trump.
Owned. Absolutely
We're going
owned.
to call you Donald Duck.
Did you actually watch the full clip that ends up in that punchline?
No, I didn't.
It takes him like 2.5 minutes to explain the setup to the joke.
That's how
like,
you
all
know
right,
it's
so
a
here's
good
the deal.
one.
So you all understand that there is a debate currently happening right now, and there are 9 people on stage. Well, one of the people who's not on stage is Donald Trump. And another word for not being at something is ducking the event.
My
It takes
God.
him so fucking long to get there.
I can always tell that it's another. Well, I'm sorry, like it's not going to be an entertaining debate if Donald Trump is not there.
Yeah.
And also, like, I can tell it's been boring because like I don't see a single fire clip circulating on Twitter the next day.
The best clip I saw was truly like the worst Ron DeSantis facial expression I've seen yet, when he like licks his lips, like he's like Donald Trump should be here. He was like, you could tell how shook he was trying to like go harder at Donald Trump, and he has this awful like mouth moment. I don't know how to describe it other than a mouth moment, but
That's my favorite Neil Cicigera album.
It's like he like got too high and he's like, oh, do I still have a mouth?
My mouth is. Are my gums dry?
or it looked like he had cotton mouth, or like a dry mouth from like taking too much Molly or something.
Yeah.
He was off a bean.
My favorite moment from the debate, it wasn't actually like during the debate. It was how DeSantis got his makeup put on before the debate. For some reason, he had it applied while he was like perpendicular and 6 inches away from Nikki Haley.
I saw that.
Sticking out.
Yeah. That was so fucking weird.
So normal. He's the most normal man.
And I guess the other thing I like is that Nikki Haley's campaign announced that Donald Trump sent her a bird cage because he called her a bird brain. And I'm just thinking once again, like the king is back. He's still got it. And Another thing that I noticed this week that made me think like, oh, like Trump's going to be president again. He's back to cattily speculating on the relationship of pop stars and actors. This time, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Give him a page 6 column. I want to read him on the celebrity couplings all the time.
And he was like, I wish them the best on their life together, maybe not, probably not. But it's funny, the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce relationship has become like a culture war touchstone. Because like a lot of the right wingers now hate Travis Kelce because he's soy and evil because he's endorsed Bud Light and the vaccine.
And they're also treating Taylor Swift like being shown or showing up at these football games, like the new like Colin Kaepernick like kneeling moment. they're like keep your pop music away from my football. You know, like this is a no politics space. Like Taylor Swift is inherently political or something. Travis Kelce is soy though.
I could easily defeat him on the football gridiron or in mental combat.
Did you see, here was a Trump clip that I did see, which was not from the debate, obviously. I also know he's back because he was talking about sharks again.
Oh, the shark
and
clip
how
was
he
great.
absolutely, what is he was like, he was telling some story about like reaching off a boat or something and like having to choose between electrocution
Being electrocuted
and like death by shark. And it was like a weird meandering story, you know, like his brain is not good. But he was like, obviously I'm choosing electrocution.
I'm like, he's choosing electrocution every time.
And then he opens it up to the crowd. He's like, right, we're all choosing electrocution.
But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery and the water starts flooding in, I'm getting concerned. But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree? I will take electrocution.
He hates sharks.
He really hates sharks. Like
he is not watching Shark Week.
My favorite thing he said about sharks was when he said he's not a fan of them a lot of times, but only one of those times he went, they'll be here long after we're gone.
I mean, I'm not so sure about that at this point. I'm not so sure about that.
That was the one I was most curious about. Like, whether he meant them as like a successor species. Like what? Like,
but I mean, this did give me the idea that if he is convicted on any of the felony charges, that like they need to make a special exception for him and execute him by shark. Like, you know, the bad guy in Thunderball, just like lower him into a shark tank and have them go to town on him. I did see this morning, though, that Trump was in a New York City court about the civil fraud case, about the absurd overvaluation of all of his properties. Like the Mar-a-Lago property, which is like a shitty golf course for...
I mean, we all saw the photos of that bathroom, the child-sized bathroom filled with boxes. It's like going to your divorced uncle's house.
Yeah. is fraudulently valued at like worth being over $1 billion for the Mar-a-Lago property. And he was in court today. And the funniest thing is that this is not a jury trial. It's a bench trial. And then immediately after like his day in court, he goes out and immediately addresses the media. And he was like, I'd like to personally insult the judge in this case now. He's a crook and he's a bad guy and he's going to jail.
one of his lawyers, actually the lawyer on his case who made sure that this was a bench trial, her laptop in court is a gaming laptop.
It's a gaming PC, yes. It had like the glowing lights. Like
Alienware.
Yeah.
You have to go out of your way to find one of
How
those.
is he finding lawyers at this
Does she have
point?
like a cooling tower below the table?
No, it just like that laptop is about 7 times heavier than any other laptop. And it's like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of curious, like, why she got it. Like, there's some game that she loves, I know, that she can't be without if she bought that, because it's like probably twice as expensive as any other computer that you could, that like, if you're a lawyer, you don't need anything more than like a MacBook Air.
Yeah, you don't even need a MacBook Pro.
You're just looking
like
at
if you're just
documents.
going court, like from courtroom to courtroom, you want like a light computer that can use like Google Docs.
Yeah.
But apparently she just like loves Roblox so much. she can't be without it.
She
It's
loves
like, okay, I'm defending the former president of the United States, but I think I can get in 25 minutes of The Sims before I
she
go and
loves
get into
the
the
Lego
room.
Harry Potter game.
You really do have to like specifically search for that kind of laptop because it like gaming laptops do suck. It's like a shitty way to game. Like it is one of those things where it's like, you know, like just do this at home.
Yeah.
Or like get a Steam Deck. Like who gives a shit? But I get like, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think it's a custom build?
You can't. Well,
maybe that's an ignorant question.
You can get a custom build of some gaming laptops by a company like Origin, like a company that makes like, you know, built to order PCs and laptops. But hers is like an Asus, which is pre-built.
Maybe it's one of the terrible, inappropriate gifts that Donald Trump gave her in lieu of actual payment. You know, he just like opened the back room.
That sounds very accurate.
We got some laptops laying around.
They
Have one
fell
of
off
these.
the lorry.
Yeah.
I could see Donald Trump having some weird interaction with like, what's that Hasidic electronics chain?
B&H.
Yeah, some weird interaction with B&H that ends with him getting like 20 Asus laptops in 2017. And he's like, I'm not going to have to pay another lawyer for the rest of my life.
They're like, yeah, so our fee is $700 an hour. And he's like, I'm going to stop you right there. Look at this laptop. It's loaded up with all the best. It's called, folks, there's a new game. It's got Pinocchio. It's not Pinocchio. It's called Lies of P. This judge, he's doing some lying too. So a lot of these puppets are not very nice. They don't call him Pinocchio though. Geppetto is there.
He accidentally hired Jewish electronics people as opposed to Jewish lawyers. like the mix up with the Lauren Care plays the Four Seasons, yeah.
And he got Japanese lawyers instead.
Oh wait, did you see that Trump swore for the first time on stage?
Yes,
that was another
very,
weird.
very out of character.
He has been, I would say, officially on one this week.
Yeah.
But if you become president and you don't like somebody, or if somebody's beating you by 10, 15, or 20 points like we're doing with crooked Joe Biden, let's indict the motherfucker. Let's indict
the motherfucker. No, like that actually shocked me because
that's the most like, is he actually losing it?
I've never heard him swearing because like he doesn't drink.
He doesn't even
curse.
say damn or hell, let alone motherfucker.
He said pussy in 2016.
Yeah, that's true.
Quite famously.
No, not grab him by the pussy. I'm talking. He in a rally. He was talking about like Ted Cruz. And like some woman yelled out, "He's a pussy," and he's like, "I can't say that. Should I say it? He's a pussy." And it was really weird to hear coming out of his mouth. It's like seeing your dad cry or something. Like, you know it's happened, but you're like, ew.
I'd rather not see that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also saw this is a good clip this week. Pete Buttigieg was on the Jen Psaki MSNBC show to like, you know,
Who the fuck is watching that?
me.
People who couldn't get enough of her press briefing.
I forgot it existed until this moment.
Yeah.
Like literally, not even even people who are super into like Ukraine and all of that are not watching that shit. No one is watching that.
So Buttigieg came on and like, you know, like out of all the things, this is my favorite thing. Out of all the things that you can hit Donald Trump on in his life of crime and cheating, this is what Buttigieg decided on. He said to Jen Psaki, quote, "This is a part of a lifelong pattern with the former president that I would argue was first displayed when he faked a disability in order to having to go to Vietnam and allowed, I assume, some working class person to go in his place."
Remember when liberals like trotted that out, really thinking that would matter to his MAGA chud fans, and it didn't make a dent at all. No one cared.
I mean, it's like it's exactly like his things with not paying taxes. You know, where he's just like, of course, like, you know,
only suckers pay taxes.
Only suckers pay taxes. Why wouldn't I choose to get the lowest tax bill possibly?
Why would I choose not to go to Vietnam?
Yeah, why the fuck would I go to Vietnam? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, he cheated and like, a working class person took his place. But like, I gotta say, in terms of his cheating and frauds, this is like the most normal thing Donald Trump has ever done.
Well, and also to all of his fans, if they could have cheated their way out of Vietnam, they would have also.
And as well, they should have. I mean, no one should have fucking gone to fight in Vietnam.
Is this like 2002?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Who cares?
They're trying to like swift boat him.
There are like more living veterans of World War I than people who even remember Vietnam.
It's way
No
weird.
one gives a shit.
It's way weird for millennial Pete Buttigieg to be trying to draw up cheating out Vietnam draft dodging grievances than for 80-year-old Donald Trump to have tried to draft dodge Vietnam.
Also, like, he doesn't have such a sterling record himself. You know, he just like worked.
Yeah, he was in Afghanistan for like a month and a half.
He had a special dispensation from being the mayor to go to Afghanistan and like look at minerals for 6 days.
Yeah,
and then come
he
back.
like took a few trips outside the wire, but he was mostly at a desk.
Yeah, he did like Outward Bound.
The thing for troubled teens in the desert.
Yeah.
That's what we should have been doing. Instead of sending like 80-year-olds or 60-year-olds like members of the National Guard, we should have sent troubled teens.
Well, to be fair, I think most of the Marine Corps are troubled teens.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, moving on, I got this is a story about the new Cold War that's currently going on, and I'm talking, of course, about China repossessing all of their pandas from American zoos.
Wait, they're doing that?
Yeah. Because like every panda that is in an American zoo is technically leased by China, and they're calling them back.
Are you kidding?
They're calling them back to the motherland.
I'm so glad Nixon doesn't have to see this.
Yeah.
This would have killed him.
Like, that really is like the type of indignity he would have suffered during his lifetime. Like that's the sort of thing that would happen like a year before he dies, where he's like, "That's the last like good thing
This
I did."
is worse than Watergate.
This was the Panda exchange program.
And they're like aldermen. They're like, "Sir, I'm sorry." And they're like, "Whoa, what is it? China, they're taking back Lin Lin." And he's just, God damn it. This is the longest moment of my life.
They're sending the Panda.
This is where someone, my brother died.
They're sending the Panda Express to come get them.
But I liked it because there was some good Miss Mel Chen, some right-wing lady, says of pandas, good riddance. Pandas are furry, roly-poly lumps of biomass that eat only one thing. Yeah, good evolutionary strategy, bro. And bumbles around all day doing fuck all.
This is like a Tim Robinson skit. This is I think you should leave.
Any species that requires hand jobs from professional human cum extractors to survive deserves to go extinct.
Let me tell you about human men.
Yeah.
That's like just such a shitty way to enjoy animals.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, then the only good animals are like
ants and roaches.
Yeah, like amoebas that can survive like being on the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
and
great.
that would be a very boring zoo.
And like
Yeah.
people always say this about pandas, like, oh, they're so stupid, they don't even fuck, like whatever. It's like, hey, I mean, you wouldn't fuck if like 13 guys in lab coats were like taking notes and sticking a thermometer up your ass either. And like,
like imagine if you had to fuck because it's like these two countries have to be friends. That's so much pressure.
Yeah, it's like the only diplomacy that still exists is like, you know, Catherine of Aragon marrying like Henry VIII is like, you know, to China sending a panda to come fuck at the Cincinnati Zoo or something. And now, you know, diplomacy has failed. They're taking him back. But like,
that was like the last period where we acknowledged that like, you know, China for what it is, which is like a competitor to the US. Like a true enemy wouldn't be like that embedded in the US economy and vice versa. But like during the 90s and like by the 2000s, like that was the last vestige of cooperation, was both of our nations working together to get these creatures to like fuck, to get the male pandas like fully hard and like get the girls wet. And like, of course, like I could like, if you told me you have to fuck this woman or like this ascendant nuclear state is going to be an enemy with your country, I couldn't do it.
all that pressure.
That's so much. Like that's so much. That's so much to think about.
But like when people go off on pandas, that like, oh, like they have to be like coaxed into coming. And all they do is eat bamboo.
They're
and,
really
like,
cute.
and roll around there. Like they're only here because people think they're cute.
They're such a unique animal. Shut the fuck up.
Like, oh, they would have been extinct if they weren't so cute. It's like, bitch, that is a successful evolutionary strategy. If you can convince human beings that you're cute and that your species is worth preserving, that is an excellent evolutionary strategy.
Yeah, think of all the ugly ass animals that have gone extinct because they're not cuddly.
Dodos, get the fuck out of here.
No, dodos were cute. They just like they had the misfortune of like living in a crueler world.
Yeah, when like Portuguese sailors would just take thousands of them and boil them into tar for
No, they just like if that happened today, we probably would have preserved like a few, but it was rough times. It was Red Dead Redemption 2 times.
Yeah.
That's like during those times, everyone had to kill every animal to get like 0.1 ounces of like lamp oil so they could read like a shitty romance novel and jack off and impregnate their brother's wife.
So to buy immunity potion at the general store.
Yeah. I need some Dodo tar to up my Deadeye stats.
Yeah, it was a bad time. And like look at most dogs.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't do shit.
Yeah. Like,
And you actually have to clean up their poop. You know,
Yeah.
they hump other dogs. Sometimes, they're a pit bull and
United Kingdom banning pit bulls, banning the XL bully breed of pit bulls.
oh, just the XL variety.
Yeah.
Those XL ones,
They gotta stop.
Every once in a while, I like fall into an Instagram hole. I saw one recently, like Ben Mora always reposts these.
Oh,
where,
God.
Where there was one that was like, this generation is 2 times bully
I was watching
and
this.
3 times mummy or whatever. And someone just like commented on it, just being like, for those following at home, this means it's inbred twice.
there's
I'm no
seeing
geneticist, but seems bad.
Seeing those Ben Mora bully pit bull breeds was giving me flashbacks to reading about the Habsburgs for
Yeah,
on
honestly,
Earth.
they should
Yeah.
be destroyed. I'm sorry,
Yes.
they're an abomination.
Yeah.
This should not be allowed. A civilized country would not allow this.
I don't know if I said this on the show before, but at the hotel we were staying at in Dallas. When we
Oh
did
my
our
God,
show
this was
there,
so fucking funny.
we were leaving the hotel in the hotel lobby, and there were 2 gentlemen in the lobby who I can only describe as like Island Boys clones. Like that. That's that's what they looked like.
You can just say gay.
Who had with them a couple of their like designer bully pit bull dogs, and there were like 2 of them, and they had like gold chains on these dogs, and like they looked so wretched and stupid. And then like to leave the hotel, there's like 3 steps that go up to like where the valet parking stuff is, where the cars pull around the main entrance. These dogs could not walk up 3 steps.
Like, I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
like,
man,
these guys are
okay.
like
it's like
pushing their
it's like
butt.
pugs or something.
Yeah.
Like
If
you
you-
shouldn't, or French bulldogs. Like they can't breathe. Their lungs are always collapsing in on themselves.
if you are one of the Indian guys that killed that Sikh man in Canada, this is what awaits you in your next life. Like if you are a bad Hindu guy, you get reincarnated as an inbred pit bull in Dallas.
That does sound like hell for all eternity.
So repent now, pick a different religion or something, because you've got a rough 8 years ahead of you, if that.
And then one more piece of fun animal news that I enjoyed. Another story that I missed out on this week was New York City being flooded once again, and our subway system basically about 2 ounces of water away from completely collapsing. But there was some, incredible footage of New York flooding this past weekend. And one of the things that happened was the Central Park Zoo flooded. And if you've ever been to the Central Park Zoo, in like the main atrium when you walk in, they have their big sea lion tank, their big sea lion pool just in the middle. All of that flooded, and the entire zoo became the sea lion tank. And there is a couple sea lions have absconded from the Central Park Zoo because they were just able to swim away. Have they found them yet?
I followed up. It was apparently one female sea lion. And they just waited till she swam back into the enclosure. Like she just came home.
Well, I mean, Central Park has done so well with the escaped Eurasian eagle owl Flacco. I was just saying, I think they should just like let the sea lions go, because I mean, they're
Once
fun.
the waters recede, what happens? Where do they go? The Hudson River?
No, like
the
there's
Gowanus
ponds, there's
Canal?
ponds and stuff.
If a rich enough family gets it, it's probably fine. Like if one of those families where the mom is like, she does some weird type of law, like she's like, oh, I do animation law. I was the first animation lawyer, like
anime law.
in America. We did some weird thing where I had septuplets when I was 57, and the dad is like, oh, I invented a new security that's backed by the Catholic Church molestation center. Our combined household income
It's the
is
new
like
blockchain.
like $70 billion a year. Like if one of those like Upper East Side type families finds the sea lion, then it's like they have all they need to take care of it. Like it's gonna have a good life, and like all their kids are like now going to probably use Chicago. And they want to like take care of a sea lion now.
Yeah, they're empty nesters.
That's fine. But if someone in like the Lower East Side gets it,
it's gonna die. Like it's really bad. It's not going well.
Well,
The freaking sea lion going to Dime Square. Am I right? He's going to Clandestino. Folks, is this thing on?
Like if the sea lion has to live in one of those like apartments where it just 90% of the space is taken over by like dusty cups of water. It's like a 700 square foot apartment divided between like 12 girls who hate each other.
And one crazy sea lion.
Yeah.
One sea lion and all the water is dusty. Like it's gonna hate that.
Well, the writer's strike is over.
Yeah.
Call us.
absolutely.
Well, like I did come up with the New York City sitcom concept that didn't involve a sea lion. But I years
still
ago,
time for
years ago.
rewrites?
No, I haven't pitched it on the show before.
Okay.
It's called Besties.
Oh, I think, yes, you told me about this before. It's very good.
Yeah, so this is a really shitty idea. So it's like one girl who's like trad and based, and one girl who's like a leftist, and like they both live in New York City, but like the based one gets more leftist because like the based guys are mean to her because she's a woman. But the leftist one gets more based because like the leftist guys are soys.
Yeah.
They're soy guys. And just called Besties, and it's about their misadventures.
Listen, like the fact that hasn't been picked up by a network yet is proof that they can't see the long game.
I haven't seriously tried to pitch that or push pull, but like if we're ever in a situation where we need to make $50 million in like a year,
Well,
like yeah.
Have you looked up how much one night stay in the ICU costs?
Let me get to work. Let me save the family.
Felix, you get on that. I will get on my mission of breeding a species of XL bully sea lion.
where does that leave me? Should I just start an OnlyFans?
Yes. Hello, nurse.
Hello, nurse.
Yeah.
No, that would be like a $10 a month type deal.
You're selling yourself short, Catherine.
Wow.
You could charge much more.
Thank you. He has to say that.
Well, I don't have to say shit. This is my show.
I'm the boss here.
I'm the boss. I guess I know we're missing stuff from this week, but I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about was Elon Musk's trip to the border to just be to basically just gawp at like refugees corralled under a fucking highway in wearing a cowboy hat backwards. And I just want forget the evil politics aside of this. I just need to talk about, has any human male ever looked worse than Elon Musk currently does?
He's looking bad.
He is everyone else who has his body is so much more proprietary about their image. But like for whatever reason, whether it's like false confidence or like, a delusion brought on by stimulant and ketamine abuse, he's just like, no, I look great. And he looks like how people are depicted in Family Guy.
Yeah.
Like he has Chris Griffin's body, but he's like, I look awesome.
With patchy facial hair.
You remember?
His chin looks like a scrotum. Or like the perineum, the space between your balls and asshole. Like that's what his chin looks like. Yeah.
Do you guys remember a few years ago there was that like weird CGI image out of the UK, I think, of like this is what your body, the human body would have to look like to survive a car crash.
Yeah.
Oh, the
That's what
perfect human form.
That's what he is becoming to look like now.
Here's my question though. Did he bring that one kid that he always brings to important meetings to the border? Like the one kid he's in contact with, and it's like a toddler that he insists on. He met with Erdogan.
Yeah, when Erdogan said, "Where's your wife?"
I just did the grocery store.
That was so cool. That made all this Elon Musk shit worth it when Erdogan was just like, you're a loser.
Yeah, he was correct though. He was like, where's the babysitter?
Erdogan, you can criticize him for a lot. He loves his wife.
Yeah.
Like he invaded Syria because Osma al-Assad was mean to his wife. Like Osma was like, Erdogan's wife is like mousy and like plain. And he was like, what if I ruin your country, you bitch?
That's love.
Oh, and I guess maybe we should just play out with the audio of Tony Blinken's impromptu blues performance.
Yeah, I don't use this word a lot, but this was offensive. This was like Tony Blinken, and this was not the case. Like from what I know of his childhood, it was the opposite of this. he would have had to have grown up in circumstances exactly like Steve Martin in The Jerk for this to like even be remotely acceptable. But no,
Steven Seagal's forays into blues music are less offensive than Tony Blinken's doing Hoochie Coochie Man at an official state dinner.
Yeah, this makes Steven Seagal look like an anthropologist. This is highly offensive.
Miwan Punani. Miwanda Punani.
Yeah, he's like Tony Blinken sounds like he's doing voice lines for a discontinued Disney ride. And it's so fucking weird because it's like his entire he's like the image of like an evil East Coast establishment guy. Like his entire family, they've all done the most evil jobs ever. His dad, I forget what his dad's involvement in the Epstein thing is, but it's like something. I know it's there. I literally just forget what it is, but it is something. This is not liable. But like he does this highly offensive voice is the only way to describe it.
What do you think? Should we put a pin in it for today?
Well, let me check the
What
time.
are we at? What are we at on time?
We crossed an hour.
Okay.
You don't want to give the piggies too much.
Yeah.
This soon back.
I will just say also that this is the first time I recently moved, and now we have a new official studio space.
Yeah,
for
we're
the
in the
first time.
stew right
Yeah.
now, and it's gorgeous. Chris has done an amazing job.
I just want to apologize if the sound audio quality is a little off. I haven't had time to fully soundproof this space, but we're improving every day.
If you notice the difference between this episode and any other episode, you should fucking die. You're a loser.
Have you noticed the difference in this episode and every other episode, other than one very specific thing?
I mean in audio quality. Right, obviously. But if you're the sound is flatter, fuck you.
Well, I'm just speaking to all the other people out there who are always
They will let you know about it. We're so back.
Yeah.
We are so back.
Yeah, and we're back, and I guess just by way of leaving the show, I just want to say thank you for bearing with us this past week, and really thank you again for just all the love and outpouring of support for Matt. I mean, it's a funny thing. It shouldn't take something like this, but it was in reading the totality of everyone's thoughts about Matt and their love for him. I mean, we really are just so lucky to have him.
Yes.
Not just our best friend, but I know he'd be embarrassed about me saying this, but I think truly one of the great Marxist humanist thinkers of the 21st century. And the way people responded to him and the Kush vlogs and just the support, it really means a lot to all of us. So
Including Matt.
Yeah, including Matt.
Yeah.
I mean, he is definitely aware of all this. He's reading the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, he is he is on the way to getting better. And just we thank you for your support. And it really means a lot to us.
Yeah.
And also please keep hating, because learn this. How's your water? What can I do for you? How are you on apps or drinks? Because the table of success is calling.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah. The table of success beckons. All right. We'll be back with regularly scheduled shows. We got Movie Mindset coming back this week.
Oh yeah, movie. Oh,
and I gotta. Okay, Movie Mindset, or I should say, Ghoul v Scream Set Horror-tober, Horror Movie Spectacular. Our October spooky season miniseries premieres this week, every Wednesday. But if you are in New York City on October 30th, Devil's Night, Hesse and I will be screening The Fog and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch at the Roxy Cinema and Hotel in New York. A Movie Mindset, a Ghoul v Scream Set double feature.
a salute to Tom Atkins.
Yeah, salute to the great Tom Atkins. The night before Halloween. I mean, I think I'll talk to Hesse, but I think we should do costumes. I think we should do a costume night.
I'm not wearing a costume.
All right, we'll figure it out. But yeah, links for the Movie Mindset double feature, Devil's Night, The Fog, directed by John Carpenter, and Halloween 3, directed by one of John Carpenter's friends. I don't know. I'll look into that. But Tom Atkins Night at the Roxy Hotel and Cinema. We'll put the link up for tickets in the show description. So we'll be back on Thursday with another regularly scheduled Chapo.